The anvil on your chest didn't build your business. You did. And the thing you think made you successful is actually the key to your next level when you finally learn to set it down. Here's what I mean. You think the anvil on your chest is responsibility, motivation, drive, whatever. But what it actually is, the emotions that somewhere along the way you decided or were told that were unsafe to feel. And that weight on your chest is actually from the inside. It's those emotions begging to get out. So we're going to actually lay out why the story that we're telling ourselves isn't the story. There's a floor under the floor, so to speak. What the old why was, that dirty fuel in the tank, the thing that people think made them successful, but it's not. What the anvil actually is, just gave you a little preview of that, and what it costs and what you can get when you put it down. So here's the thing. The story isn't actually the story. And most of y'all know this when clients come to you, like, I just need to eat more. No, I just need to know what to eat. No, that's not it, right? But people show up with the story they've rehearsed. The divorce, the trailer park, mom and dad splitting up, whatever, like the addiction they outran. And they run off of that. Like, this is who I am. This is why I move like this. My upbringing made me like this. And sure, maybe, but underneath that story is an emotional charge. And it's the emotion that you felt in that moment, right? People are like, I'm grateful for my upbringing because it made me who I am. But that upbringing feels like shame, feels like guilt, and they're still running on that. You're attracting more shame and guilt, whether you realize it or not, but you're dressing it up as achievement, as success. So underneath the story is that emotional charge. It's the presenting problem, right? It's, I need to be more detached on sales calls. But the story is something like the divorce, the trailer park, the people who doubted you. And the charge is the emotion stored in the body, right? The charge is the story, is what the emotion stored in the story. And that's the word that happens. I did have this happen with a client, right? She came in, she wanted to be more detached on sales calls. It shows up. It was one of our early calls. She's like, yeah, I keep getting so flustered during sales calls. I want to be more detached. So what do? Well, we didn't talk about reframes. We didn't talk about breathing. We didn't talk about the sales call at all. We dug into what she was feeling when she would drop those sales calls, when she would get flustered. And we went to a story when she was 17 being chastised for standing up for herself. That was the story under the story. That was the story actually driving what was keeping her from closing better. And this was somebody who was already doing $30,000 per month in her business. Fixing this took her to $57,000. Another one couldn't answer a single DM. Like, message would sit there for days. But underneath the DM was a fear of disappointing her business partner. Underneath of that was getting let go from a job 5 years ago. And underneath of that, because stories are like ogres and ogres are like onions. They have layers. If you guys didn't know, I'm 38 and old enough to remember Shrek. Now you know. Underneath that was a childhood story of not being heard. Like, the presenting problem was a DM, a text message. But underneath that was I wasn't heard as a kid. So who am I to answer DMs and follow up with leads? And another one, they were stuck at 22 grand a month but wanted 50. And they were stuck. On paper, that's a lead problem, right? You just need more people. But underneath it was a belief that more money would amplify what was already cracked at home. So his subconscious actually quietly refused to do the work. Like, and you could hear it. He was like, I think, probably, kind of. Like, he hedged every sentence about his own business because he knew that at $22,000 a month, his marriage was already on life support. So why would he push to 50? Most people say things like, I need better systems, but really, it's I'm scared of growing. I can't charge more. I don't believe I'm worth it. I'm just tired. I stopped letting myself feel things a long time ago. Or, this is what made me successful. AKA, I'm scared of who I am without this. Because I've identified with this thing, even if I don't enjoy the way it feels. The narrative is just the file name, and the emotional charge is what's running the show. So often I get on sales calls, and I do so often get on sales calls, and I also hear this on sales calls so often. But Chase, this is what made me successful. It's all I know. And more often than not, what happens is like they have this tear running down their face because they know that they need to admit that they've been wrong about their reality, that they've been white knuckle gripping this story of pain and hurt, and that it has not only insidiously got into how they run their business, but also you can't silo this stuff, and it has showed up in their family, in their life. But they have the success on paper, so why would they dare acknowledge this? But they say things like, I have to be resilient. That's just who I am. Well, who am I if I'm not the guy who came from nothing? I just have to do it all. That's not fact, by the way. That's just your old why. It's the fuel you started on, sure, and give it credit where credit is due. It got you started, but it only works to a point. And dirty fuel might get the engine running. It just leaves residue in everything that it touches. And then you fall into the proving loop. You get the charge. You prove the charge wrong. You get just enough success for it, and then you stop because you've proved it wrong. So now you need to stop and have another hard month or something break so that you can get that charge again, because that's what your subconscious is used to running off of. If the shitty memories from childhood, if the Christmas without toys, if the divorced parents, if whatever is your fuel, if dark motivation is your fuel, if the thing that you think made you successful is your fuel, and it has dark energy attached to it, you will forever end up finding a way to feel that again, to find your fire again. Corey came to me, sat at $60,000 to $70,000 months for 12 months. Rough problem, right? We got a business doing 60 to 70 grand a month, but they were plateaued. Women's fitness, built the whole thing with his wife, but on the surface, contentment. Like, we're good where we are. We don't need a big team. We don't want all that responsibility. It sounded healthy. It sounded grounded. Like, oh yeah, hey, good for you, but it wasn't. He had a story that more success was unsafe and that a bigger team was unsafe, that more success would pull his family further apart. And the thing is, he wasn't hiding from success. He was hiding from how he felt. And this doesn't happen in the moment, right? It doesn't have, oh, wow, you just started hiding from how you felt 3 years ago. No, it went back decades to being embarrassed in front of kids at wrestling. Like that was the ceiling, not the funnel. Like, we released that and doubled his business because his safety zone had become a prison. And like, if you're self-made, it's even heavier because somebody who raised $20 million doesn't feel their dollars the way you feel yours. Every dollar you've made, you carried. So the fuel becomes a duty, right? Like, I have a responsibility to my wife, my kids, my team. And it sounds so noble that you never question it because like you're the first one to carry it. But let's be real, like, your team's not going to starve. They're capable of working other places, and your wife probably isn't going to divorce you. That's not responsibility talking. That's the charge talking, wearing responsibility's clothes. If I take the story out, the drive goes with it. So many people think, like, well, if I give up this fuel, this pain, there goes my drive. Valid, fair, but when I ask somebody to set this down, in their mind, it feels like throwing away everything they've built. It feels like death. Because it is a death. You're killing a version of yourself, just not the one that you think. You built everything you have in spite of that weight, not because of it. Here's what the anvil actually is. It's not motivation, and it's not responsibility. Most entrepreneurs are walking around with an anvil on their chest, and they think that anvil is the way to responsibility, but it's not. What you feel in your chest is actually those emotions that you decide are unsafe to feel, those ones that you say, I'm just detached. No, you're not detached. You're ignoring. They want to get out. It's suppression. That's all that is. And it's the kind of tired that sleep can't fix. That's why you wake up exhausted every day. That's why even though you have the business that you say you dreamed of, you dread it. Because you go in and until you actually go in and answer it, that anvil, it isn't a weight you're carrying. It's something trying to get up and out. And behind closed doors, most admit that they despise it. In front of everybody else, they pretend they enjoy the anvil. Like, they glamorize it. And then they get done at night and they're wrecked, even though they did all the right things. They get on a call with me and they go, I don't remember the last time that I actually enjoyed what I'm building, even though everybody says that I'm supposed to. It's a sophisticated version of avoidance. Like I said, detachment, like in quotes, logic-based decisions, the daily stoic, journaling every morning, structuring your day. Like, you think you're creating space from the emotion. You're not. Like, it's still there banging on the door. You can run the whole business on KPIs and numbers and still have a storm in your chest. Both things can be true. You don't get stronger by carrying it, right? That's how overtraining works. Like, fitness coaches understand this, right? If there's any fitness coaches watching this, If you just go load, 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 you get injured. If you go load, put it down, recover, you grow. You get more capacity. Crazy idea, I know. But you got to put the weight down so that you can grow, so that you can carry the rest of the things. And I've never once seen somebody's resilience being taken away. Client was running sales calls from 7 in the morning to 9 at night while finishing a PhD and raising kids. And her belief was feeling emotions is a weakness, which was inherited, surprise, straight from her parents. And we didn't delete her resilience. We didn't say, stop being resilient, stop doing all these things. We took it out of the burden column and put it in the strength column. Same trait, should just stop paying for it. Said in another way, we stopped ascribing negative emotions to effort. Most people are turning effort into struggle, and it doesn't need to be. The anvil doesn't get lighter when you ignore it. It just knocks harder. Here's what it's costing you. If you keep carrying this anvil, here's what it's costing you. You burn out, you start resenting the business you built. You get frantic in your decision making, and you launch half of a new offer because you think your leads slowed down, but it was just like 2 slow days and you're still on track for a record month. But why are you making split decisions on launching a new offer that you don't need? The ceiling won't break because you're too heavy to get through it, and not on the scale. I'm talking about energetically, metaphysically. That's not emotional mastery. Just shoving stuff down is not emotional mastery. That's your emotions mastering you. It clouds your judgment on the simplest things. You got an ad booking cheap calls that didn't close, and you're so close to it, so carrying so much that you never see that same ad was written to attract people who have a victim mentality. You think, oh, cheap calls, they'll close sooner or later. Got a client who did $95,000 in June, but was projected $37,000 in July. Cost per acquisition tripled. Nothing changed in the strategy. That's the thing. Nothing. And it was the third time that exact pattern ran. 120 down to 30, 47 down to 17. That's not a market. It's an algorithm, and it's a dam. A spiritual dam, if you will. What did he end up doing? He ended up doing $65,000 in July, not 37, because nothing changed. Nothing changed in the offer. What changed is he found a story he didn't even know he was carrying, a story about how slow July is. And we fixed that because he wasn't projecting off data. He was projecting off a belief. And then his behavior went and made the belief true. But he didn't even realize the belief was in there. That's the thing. For me, I thought I had to be inside the walls of my gym from 5 in the morning to 9 at night. And I wouldn't let myself have coaches on staff who were actually good because I needed to carry the weight of the whole place on my shoulders. I had to be the best coach. I had to be the one delivering. I had to be the one everybody loved. And I glamorized it too. Y'all, I used to say, man, I worked 36-hour days in an engine room. I got this. This is easy. Something was off. And what I had to put down wasn't the schedule. It was being Atlas, having the world on my shoulders. And when you put it down, let's do the opposite of doom setting. Best case, what happens? Things start to get weird when you put this down. And I mean that precisely because the etymology of weird is having the ability to control fate. My clients say it the same way every time. It opens up a new level of reality. And when I put mine down, my team got permission to run. First time I put it down in my brick and mortar, it translated straight to them because I wasn't as heavy. And now, guess what? My coaches were enrolling new clients in the gym and selling thousands of dollars of personal training while I was on a beach in Aruba. And that was cool. Back to Corey from up top. All he did was give himself permission to feel. And the thing he'd been avoiding in the name of strength. Month 2 of us working together, he over doubled his business to $133,000. Multiple months over 130 since. He's hit 139, and he's calling shots on a $200,000 month. Corey attributes the fact that we did this work together to that he even saw those opportunities. We got a case study with him that might actually be live on the channel by the time you guys watch this. It had nothing to do with their strategy. It was all them. $7 2-day masterclass booking warm leads. And like I said, he never would have seen that opportunity. Never would have seen it, much less said yes to it because he was keeping himself small. 60 to 133,000. Robbie changed his energy, same ad, same copy, 2.7x to 9x ROAS. Brennan went from driving Lyft to $20,000 months and then getting $3,000 speaking gigs and even selling $30,000 team contracts. The drive doesn't leave. If anything, it stops carrying the thing that is keeping it from actually moving forward. I had a client whose entire engine was a fear of neglect, of not being paid attention to. So we didn't delete it. We just repointed it. We reframed it. Now it reads, I pay attention to my kids. It's the same engine, just with no charge. You don't lose the fire. You just stop burning down your own house for fuel. Most entrepreneurs, though, they'd rather keep the anvil because the anvil is familiar and the next version of them isn't. And that's the whole decision. Like, this was never about strategy. Your story isn't what made you successful. Your courage to keep going while carrying it, that's what made you successful. And you get to keep the courage. You actually get to lean into it and own it even more. Imagine what's possible without the ruck on. My client, Caitlin Wells, described it as putting down a 70-pound energetic ruck she didn't even know she was carrying. I take on 1 to 3 new one-to-one clients per month. There's a link in the bio to fill out the application. If you've been here long enough, you've already considered it. The only question is, when are you going to jump?